The reflection today is on John chapter 12, verses 20 to 36. I'm a Christian because every time I look out of the window, I see life, death, and resurrection. John Fitzmaurice, the diocesan director of Ordinands, said this to me during one of my visits to see him as part of the discernment process that I'm involved in. I keep thinking about that statement, particularly as I take my daily exercise by walking around Hallow and Grimley. I also think about it as I look out through my kitchen window, as I see the new, fresh and glorious colours of springtime, which are like a real in-your-face object lesson from God, saying, "Hello, I'm still here. There is hope." The plants and bushes that have almost seemed dead during the winter are starting to bud again. And it's exciting. As I reflect on the passage, one of the verses that jumps out at me is verse 24. "I tell you the truth," said Jesus, "unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds." It's difficult to imagine how those listening would have understood these words of Jesus. They would hardly have been so well informed as we are about the significance of the hour that he was talking about. From the context, it can be seen that his hour was his approaching passion. This is clear from the way he talks about being glorified and also the grain of wheat illustration. When he says, "I tell you the truth," I feel like he's presenting to his disciples and to us a way or a formula on how to do life. This is a really important announcement, and if we get it, we'll never live the same way or have the same perspective again. The principle in nature that death is essential for further life was applied by Jesus to himself. Wheat produces its own kind, and Jesus regarded his passion in the same light. His death would produce life for many. When I sat with my sisters last October at my mum's bedside as she took her last breath, it was a deeply sad yet also peaceful time. We hugged and sobbed into each other's arms as she passed away. It struck me in that moment, however, that my mum was now passing into the third act of her life. The first act was a life well lived and a rich legacy of relationships among her family and friends. The second act was that of her dying and death, which we had witnessed over the last few weeks. The third act, which she has now entered, is being welcomed into the arms of Jesus and eventual resurrection. This is our hope and the promise of the message that the church has. It feels like in the same way that the Greeks mentioned in the passage went up to worship at the festival, there will be many people who will be looking to God and the church for answers, hope, or some sort of response in these days. Obviously, they might not use this sort of language, but the question they're asking is this: we want to see Jesus. And we might have to be ready, like Philip and Andrew, to make the introduction. It's not always easy to understand what Jesus is getting at. If we feel like that sometimes, we're in good company, because the disciples didn't always get it either. In response to questions, Jesus normally asks more questions, which doesn't seem that helpful, but it does make us think. When people ask us questions, as I'm sure they will, maybe we can learn from his example. And when we're really stuck, just take a look out of the window. God bless you.